So I'm going to go ahead and get started here. Just so you're aware, this is CurricuNet Meta. The URL that you'll use when you go live is going to be ebc.curricunet.com. Your username will be your email address, and then Lynette and others will be able to supply you your default password. Today, what I'm going to cover is the actual navigation of the system as a faculty user. And it's going to range between the courses area, the programs area, searching on the institutional values for both areas, creating a proposal, as well as the approval process. And basically, we're going to be covering all of the faculty-facing areas within the system. To get started, when you first log in, the first screen you're going to see is what we refer to as the My Courses screen. You can switch to a My Programs screen just by clicking on this curriculum button. It'll then give you an option for a program, and it automatically takes you to the My Program area. You can also navigate from anywhere in the system to go to the approval process just by clicking on Approvals. And from anywhere in the system, you can also go to the Create Proposal area, which is the workspace. And we will review these areas in a bit more detail here in just a moment. Right now, I'm going back to the Courses area. And you'll see within this Courses area, the default is My Courses. Just so you're aware, this is the area where anything that you're currently working on, as in your courses or My Courses, is going to show up here. Whether you are a co-contributor or a course originator, it's going to show up within this area. You can define your views by subject as well as status, and you can also refine that search by putting a textual search in for your title as well. For the most part, unless you're doing, hundreds of My Courses or hundreds of proposals at a time, your My Courses view, you won't be required to do much scrolling or definitions to define that view. On the other hand, the My Institution, where you are allowed to search across all subject areas and all statuses, you may want to define those searches a bit more. You'll see here that regardless of your origination function, you can actually search across all the statuses within EBC and all the subjects. Right now, I'm just searching across all subjects and for active, drafted, in review courses. From here, you'll see that I can actually order my results by subject or by course number, by title, status, and as well as the date. One of the things that, let's say you want to be able to view a specific subject and then just order by the course number, you would then define the subject you're viewing within the search criteria, and then you could actually view the course number order within that subject. And so there's multiple ways for you to actually change your results view within the system. Within the same area, and also in My Courses area, you have access to several different reports. And depending on the type of proposal, your view may also include a comparison report which shows up for when there's a course modification in process. These reports are your course outline of record, which you're seeing here, and this report actually outputs according to what has been entered into the system. The next report we refer to is the course impact or proposal impact, which tells us if we are desiring to make a change to a course, it's going to show us the impact that course is going to have on other courses that it may be a prerequisite or co-requisite to, but also all the programs that that course is part of. And the beautiful part about that is when that course modification process finishes out, it'll actually update all the areas of impact automatically. We then also have what we refer to as the all fields report, and this is basically showing everything in the system as far as what is all part of the course proposal. So it's not just the information that is part of the course outline, but it includes everything, including the dates and the codes, the legacy information, all that jazz. And so that's actually what is referred to as the all fields report. So it's basically almost like a data dump for that specific course. And of course, the last course report I'm going to show you is something we refer to as the comparison report, which tells us what's changed between the active record and the proposed modification. And again, these markups are all automatic. It's always going to show you exactly what has been inserted or updated, which will show up in highlights of green, and things that have been deleted, which will show up as a strike through and highlighted in red. Okay. I'm just going to pause right there to see if there's any questions before I show you the same functionality of the program.
Any questions with what he showed us so far? No questions at this time, Steve.
Okay. So now I'm going to actually switch to the program view and show you the same search process. Within the program view, again, you have your My Courses view, and you have the ability to search across areas. In the programs, there's a couple extra search areas. You still have the ability to search by status. You can also define it by award type or degree type. And then, of course, by the organization, which is by division or department. And for today, I'm going to do a search again by the, just including everything. And you'll see that, again, it returns everything that's within the institution. The programs also have two reports available. They have your program outline and also a comparison if a modification is happening. The program outline is pretty straightforward. It shows your program title, the award, the description, the learning outcomes, and also all the degree requirements. The program comparison report reacts similar to what the course comparison report, and it actually shows you what's changed and what's been deleted, again, with the same highlight and strike-through methodology as I just discussed for courses. All in all, pretty straightforward as part of the process. From here, I'm actually going to go to create proposal. And one thing I want you to realize, it does not matter whether you're in course or in program. When you click on create proposal, this is the one area where you create any kind of proposal. It can be a new course, it can be a course modification, same thing for program, and the selection is there for all those different types. And so whether you're creating a course proposal or a program proposal, it's always going to be create proposal where you go to. The screens automatically change according to the data that you're going to enter, keeping in mind that when you're building a new course, you're going to enter that information from scratch. And let's say you're going to try to use an existing course number for your new course. The system is going to actually give you an error on that and tell you that you cannot proceed in that aspect. Okay? The other thing I want to draw your attention to as well, you'll see I got the error here that I can't use that existing course number. Let's say I get to this point where I click, I see the create proposal. Up to this point, as long as I don't click the create proposal screen, I can go in and change my mind, so to speak. I can change what I enter, keeping in mind that all the information you enter in a new course is going to be available in subsequent screens. So you always want to use the built-in navigation and not the back button on your browser. But also, let's say I want to change my mind and go in and do a course modification. When I do that, it brings me to this screen where I actually have a search criteria where I can select my subject and I can search by a course title. And when I do that, it actually brings forward the courses that I can then take an action on. Again, up to the point I click on that if I click Create Proposal, I can change my mind. Now, keep in mind, when you do a modification proposal, it's going to create an exact copy of that active course trigger. Let's say, I want to go back to the new course, and I want you to notice something. All the information that I previously entered still carries forward into that process. Similar process for new program and program mod. Again, this is all determined by your origination function. So if you don't have anything available in these drop-downs, you'll typically get an error that tells you don't have origination functions to create this proposal type. And so you'll want to contact one of your system admins to do that. Keep in mind that it actually brings in the institutional hierarchy. So when I select the division of language arts, it automatically is going to bring forward my department under that division. Okay? So then I would then select my award types and then put my title in and then go create the proposal. Similar thought process for the modified program as far as the search process. You're going to select a division, and then of course you will select the department, and then you can actually search upon those programs, and it'll then return your results. And then you just select and you click Next to then start the initiation of the modification process. Keep in mind that the deactivation processes follow the same steps as any of the modified course or modified programs. For today, to give you an idea of what these screens look like, I'm just going to create a new course. And it's now creating the proposal, and it brings me to my entry screen. And what I wanted to draw your attention to here is that here on the left is your data tabs for each of the sections that you're going to fill out for the course outline process. I also want to draw your attention here to these boxes that show you, you have things to do in order for you to be able to launch it into the process. And you'll notice here I can't launch until I finish my requirements. You'll also notice there's visual cues on the screen where it has a asterisk, but also does a highlight as well in that process. I also want you to notice as well that when I enter something in, you'll notice that the Save screen comes forward. Okay? Also, as I finish requirements, you'll notice that this number right here changes. Okay? If I forget to save my work and navigate off the screen, the system is going to prompt me to do so. Okay? So the only way you'll lose your work on the screen is if you say discard or cancel. Next, on the units and hours, you'll notice that there is a similar process here as far as finishing required elements. But I also want to draw your attention to that when I click on variable units, you'll notice I have additional information to enter, and then also the requirements change as well. So that's an aspect within the system I wanted you to be aware of. One of the other different entry requirements within the system, or a way of entering information, is I want to illustrate is your student learning outcomes. When you want to enter in a learning outcome, you're going to click Add New Item, and then comes up with your entry process where you go through and you fill out the information. Okay? When I want to enter in another outcome, I click on Add New Item, and it goes. You repeat that process. The thing I want you to realize is you need to enter in each outcome individually, because there's specific data for each outcome that we're capturing as far as mapping processes, so on and so forth. The same process is going to apply as well when you're adding things like your methods of evaluation. So you would select your evaluation method, put in your other details, and click Insert. Okay? And so that's basically like building a list. I just wanted you to be aware of that because so you see the different processes. You have similar processes in your textbook and learning materials where you see you want to add a new record. It's going to bring you to that area for entry. Okay? There are some specific error checks also in the system. For instance, like textbook, if you put in a year for that textbook that's less than 5 years, it's just going to require you to put in a rationale. Your prerequisites and co-requisites operate in a similar fashion as the outcome, where you're going to click Add a New Item, then you're going to select your requisite type, and then you're going to actually add your course by selecting the subject, and it's going to bring your record up. One thing to remember on this information is, in order for you to add a course as a prereq or co-req, it has to exist. So it either has to be active, in a draft mode, or in review mode. It cannot be historical or archived or yet created. So it has to be a record within the system in one of those statuses in order for it to be put in as a prereq, co-req, etc. And pretty much then, going throughout the process, it's just a matter of answering the questions. You're being presented, similar to what you did on your Word doc or your other document. You're being presented with questions, and there's an area for you to answer. One of the other areas of entry you'll notice here, you have checkboxes here. It's really straightforward. It's just a matter of that selection process. Okay? So again, this is all part of that process of just going through and answering those questions. Any questions here on the usability of this aspect? Keeping in mind that the program has a similar process. And also, when you're done and you save your work and you go out, you'll be able to access your proposal back within your My Courses screen within the process. So next time you come in, it'll be listed in your My Courses list. You'll just select it, the record, and it'll bring you back into your entry process where you left off before, and it'll have all the information that you were already working on.
Steve, there is a question.
Okay.
I have a question regarding
Can you hear him? No?
No, I cannot.
Okay.
Okay, the question is,
He's coming forward.
because I sat back there, I couldn't see the screen. I was looking for a feature for the user to print out the documents. Suppose I would like to have a copy of the document. Is it possible to print out the?
Yes. All along the process, you have access to reports. Reports
Okay.
outline. When you click on that, that gives it this report that you can then print out if you want.
Okay, thank you. I sat back there, I couldn't see the feature. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Any other questions? Steve, could you show them how they can see where it is in the approval process?
Absolutely. Real quick, I'd like to review the programs real fast, and then I'll
Okay.
show the workflow process.
Okay.
And basically what I wanted to address here, you'll notice that you have a similar process as course. I always like to say if you know how to use the course process, you're going to know how to use the program process. But one thing on the program I would like to review is how we do the course blocks. The course blocks are like your
Major sheet.
like your major requirements, your major electives, things like that, right?
Yes.
So you have the ability to create new ones just by clicking Add New Item. When you do that, you put in your course block definition. The override unit calculations only comes into play when, let's say, you have a course block definition like take 3 courses from the following, and then you have a list of like 8 courses. You don't want the units to explode because you have a long list of courses, and so you override the unit because you have that process where you have a list that they're selecting from. Once you then have the course block definitions defined, you'll then be able to add courses to the block, right? So if I click here on Edit Program Courses, it brings me to this list. And then I can click again. It's the same process as like Outcomes. I click on like Add New Item. It then brings me this ability that, again, select a subject, then select a course from the list. And the same rule applies as like the requisite. The course has to exist. It has to be in an active draft or in review mode. Okay? You have the ability to define conditions. So if you have, conditional operators like Accounting 101 or 102, and the and comes into play when it's used in conjunction with the or. So you'd say Accounting 101 or 102 and 103. So it's basically say, take this one course or these two courses. The units override only comes into play when you're using the non-course requirement. So let's say, the student has to submit a portfolio or something like that, and you may be offering a certain credit value for that requirement. The exception identifier also is known as course notes, where you have a little asterisk next to the course, and then below here maybe it has a note that says, please see instructor to enroll in that course or something. Okay, and so by doing that, we have all of the flexibility in that process to actually produce almost like a catalog view of your program, which is similar to what this is. Again, the program outline report gives you a printable format for that aspect. Okay? So now, going back to the approval, how do you view your things in process? Okay? So first off, I'm going to just go in and see things that are in the review process across the board. And so to do that, just so you know, if you have launched something that's in the workflow and it shows up on review, you'll be able to view it in your My Courses as well. But I don't have anything that's currently in process in my Courses, so I'm going out to the My Institution view. So it says in review, and actually to view your status of your proposal, all you need to do is click on the record. And it then will bring you to this screen that shows you basically where things are at in your process. So this is the textual view of that, where it can show the comments, what actions are taken, things like that, what date the action was taken, and who took the action. You also have a graphical view here that you can see. So like right here, you see that it's actually right here on this step because it's under review for the Division Dean, SLO coordinator, and librarian level. Okay? Now, you have the same ability to view proposals in process as well by going to Approvals area, clicking on all proposals, doing a search, and you can actually view status for any proposal institutional-wide. And again, it's just a matter of clicking on the record and it brings up your status. Okay? Now, in the approval process, if you have an approval position, the system will, one, send you an email notification. Keeping in mind, we only send one email notification a day that will have all the different actions you're supposed to take embedded in that one notification. So multiple action messages will be embedded in one email. Also, when you log in, you'll always know when you have an action to take, because it'll also give you a visual cue here with a 3. So this is telling me that I have 3 things that I need to review. So you'll see here in my approval box, it shows 3. I have 3 areas that I need to go in and review. When I go into review again, I just click on the record, keeping in mind I have access to all the reports from this section, as well as the internal section where I actually take the action and make the comment. So again, I have access to all of those areas. Each of the actions are defined according to the position. So different positions have different action selections. And that's all completely automatic within the system. You don't have to worry about having to know which actions you can take, because it's always going to present you with the actions that you have One thing to remember, actions are required, comments are optional. And also a thing to remember is when you make a comment and you commit your action, that is a permanent record. There is no way for anybody to remove your comment. It is a permanent record within the system. And after a course goes active, you still have the ability to view approval histories in the archive. Any questions there?
No questions, but I have two things I would like for you to explain to them: the co-contributor area and what happens when they make changes. If requests for changes is made, what would they receive, and then what's the process to launch it back in, and where would it end up at? Would it go back to the beginning, or where would the course or program start?
Well, first off, if a request for change is made, the user will get a email notification, and then they'll just go back in through their My Courses area, because that all stays there, and then they would just click on the record, and they'd be able to go in and make the requested changes as part of that process. Okay? And that's all an automated process within the system. It'll automatically toggle you to be able to edit it, because once you launch it into the workflow, you won't be able to go back in to make an edit unless requested to do so through the workflow, and those workflow requests actually open things back up and open to edit. And when you're done with your edits, you're just going to go back here and click on this launch button. It'll automatically send it back to the person who requested the edit. Co-contributors. This is the ability for you as a course originator to add other users to help you write your course. Once you add them as a co-contributor, they have complete access to all the areas to make edits. They cannot launch the course into the workflow. Only the originator can launch the course into the workflow. But the co-contributor area basically gives permission for users that you as an originator define to help you write your course outline.
Any questions? We have one question.
What if a co-contributor is at EBC and one is at San Jose?
We're not going to do the district courses today.
Yes. There was not an auto spell check. Does this one have a spell check automatically, or do we have to ask it to spell check?
Does this have an auto spell check, Steve?
I'm going to show you. It's auto-correcting there. So you see I misspelled it. Gives us that underline, and then I would do it. So yes.
Any other questions? There are no questions.
Perfect.
Oh, wait a minute. A hand just went up.
Yeah, so we share similar courses with Hamilton College, so are we to communicate with them aside of this, and then we're to ask them to access our courses?
I'm going to need somebody to repeat that question.
Okay, that's not for you. It's regarding our district course.
Okay.
Right now, clearly at Meta doesn't have the capacity for us to share courses with other colleges. So what you can do though is you can take the content report and put it outline in the report. If you want your counterpart to see that, and they can come in and look at it in the report. But what you can do is click on the course report icon, and you can save that as a document, and then you can forward it back to your counterpart. So there's still ability to communicate. You just can't be within the system because there's no capacity on it. Otherwise, we have to honor that in steps. City College is not at the same point. We are considered behind, but we don't know. So, we encourage people who are
Any other questions regarding the system? There are no questions at this time, Steve.
Okay, well, perfect. And the thing that I want you to remember is, you know, don't be worried about, you know, clicking something or saving or taking, you know, an action. It's not like something's going to like explode here or have an issue or bad things are not going to happen. I would just say, you know, go forth and create curriculum and enjoy yourself.
All right.
So I'm going to go ahead